many devices do you use on a regular basis? Smartphone, smartwatch, wireless headphones, perhaps other health tracking devices or smart devices in your home? It's a lot to keep track of, and it's a lot of devices to keep charged. And that's the subject of today's review. We're looking at a 100-watt fast charger, specifically the Nexode 4-port gallium nitride fast charger from UGREEN. Now, UGREEN is a company whose products I've reviewed a few of, mostly portable power banks, and this is their answer to a high-powered fast charger for multiple devices. Because if you think about it, even a few years ago, you wouldn't really see many more than 2-port USB-C chargers, and now we're starting to get 3-port USB-C chargers with an additional USB-A port at the same time, which is what this is. That is an incredibly compact package for that much charging. You need to think about this. This plugs into your wall socket. This is the UK version, so you have 3 prongs, but there is a US version which has your charger as well. Plug this into the wall outlet, 4 ports of high power charging. Fantastic. What will this cost you? Well, in the UK, it costs you £50, but it's currently on offer for £33. We're recording this around Black Friday 2024. So, why is this special? Well, it's those 4 ports, and it's that 100-watt maximum charging rate. That's what makes this special. There are some caveats that I want to address now, because I think it's important that you think about what this charger can actually do and when it will be able to do it. Firstly, if you buy this charger, all it comes with is the charger in the box. There's nothing else. There's no included cable. But cables are important. If you are using very old USB-C cables, you might actually find they aren't able to output 100 watts. They might not even be able to output 30 or 40 watts. So you need to make sure the cables you're using are actually rated to provide the power. Now, nothing bad is going to happen if you use a low-rated cable and try and charge a high-powered device like a laptop, other than the fact it won't work. It's not gonna cause a fire or anything. These chargers are very smart. They have protections built in, USB-C power delivery, the standard that allows you to actually draw that much power. That's quite safe too. So it will actually stop you from doing anything you can't do. But obviously you want to be able to charge your devices. So make sure you have good, high quality cables that are rated to 100 watts or more, because that means it doesn't matter what you plug in, it'll always work. Now, in terms of these ports, the 100-watt maximum output is only possible on either of the top USB-C ports. Now, they're marked as USB-C 1 and USB-C 2. It doesn't matter which of those 2 ports you plug the cable into, you'll be able to output up to 100 watts. So that's good for something like a MacBook or a PC laptop or other high-powered electronic devices that are going to draw a lot of power. If you plug 2 devices into that top port, you'll be able to output a maximum of 65 watts and 35 watts. So you do reduce the maximum amount that you can output. If you use either of the bottom 2 ports, the maximum you can output there is 22.5 watts. But again, if you use both USB-C 3 and USB-A at the same time, that becomes limited to 10.5 watts. So what I'm trying to explain is there are essentially 2 main circuits in here, and that's for the top 2 USB-C ports and the bottom 2 USB-C ports. So the top 2 USB-C ports have a maximum output of up to 100 watts, either split out as 1 times up to 100 watts or 1 times 65 and 1 times 35 watts. And the bottom 2 ports have up to 22.5 watts on a single port or up to 10.5 watts if you're using both ports at the same time. Now, there are sort of other limitations. If you're using all of it at once, so you're using 10.5 watts on the 2 bottom ports, the 2 top ports then become limited to 45 watts and 30 watts. Okay, so hopefully that's clear, but it's important to understand, because if I give you a situation, you've got 2 MacBooks Pros that can charge up to 100 watts, you plug into USB-C cables, they're not going to charge at 100 watts. They'll charge at 65 and 35 watts. If you then plug in a mobile phone at the bottom, perhaps an older Android device that you've plugged into the USB-A port for a cable there, then your top 2 ports will charge your MacBook Pros at 45 and 35 watts respectively, because you lose that additional output. This is pretty normal for a compact charger like this, but it's important to be aware of, because if you have multiple laptops you're charging, you probably want a different power solution. But if you're drawing that much current, I'd probably think about separate chargers, just from a a sort of convenience perspective, to be honest. When you're using this device, there are some things to note. I did find it got fairly warm. I'd probably go as far as to say when I was using it for a long time to charge my laptop, it got hot. It wasn't uncomfortably hot, but it was what I'd describe as hot. Now, I don't have a thermal camera that allows me to work out exactly how hot this was, but I would say it was okay to hold it, but it wasn't the most comfortable thing in the world. So it was not going to burn you, but you are going to notice the heat. Is that a problem? No, it's not. This has a thermal cutout built in, so if it were to get too hot, it'd switch off anyway. Not something I experienced, but it's just something to be able. Maybe don't use it in a really confined space, like in a box with loads of things around it where it's going to heat up even more, because that's just not good for the longevity of the charger. But it should be absolutely fine, and it is still completely safe even if it gets warm. Now, you might also experience that this charger doesn't necessarily charge your device up to the amount that it says it can charge. This is, again, fairly normal. It is because when manufacturers will give you the figures of maximum charge rates, they usually use ideal conditions with specific chargers, and this isn't the specific charger that probably came with that device. And a great example is this Dell XPS laptop. It's actually my work laptop. When I plug the USB-C charger from this into it, it complains that this is a slow charger, which it certainly isn't. However, I can still track that it is charging at 90 watts, which is very close to that 100 watt maximum. So although the laptop is complaining and saying, hey, I don't have a fast charger here, 90 watts is already at a rate where you're going to see that amount of charge go up fairly quickly, and it is enough to both use the laptop and charge it at the same time. When I'm using my other 65 watt charger, it isn't able to do that necessarily when I'm editing video. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. I also tested it with things like an Apple iPhone through the various ports, and it was my iPhone 13 Pro was charging at between 15 and 20 watts, which is pretty normal. And I charged things like my Nikon Z8 at the same time as my Apple Watch Ultra and my iPhone and my laptop, and it did all the things I said. In fact, the laptop stopped charging because it has a minimum of around 65 watts, and below that it tends not to charge, and so it didn't charge because it wasn't outputting the 65 watts because I was using both top chargers and both bottom chargers, which meant the maximum was 45 watts, which was an expected behavior. But given how small it is and how easy it is to pop in your bag, this is a great charger to take around on holiday if you need to charge devices. It is heavy. This weighs 290 grams. It is really compact, but packed inside with technology. And so it is quite a heavy device. So obviously you're not going to take this if you don't have that many devices to charge. But if you're, for instance, doing a bit of a holiday, perhaps with some working mixed in, and you need to take a laptop and other devices, great way to have everything, and definitely lighter than the USB adapter or the charger that came with your laptop device. Certainly a lot lighter than the one that came with my Dell XPS. So that is my review of the UGREEN Nexode full port 100 watt gallium nitride charger. I'm really enjoying using it, and it is replacing my 65 watt charger as the one I carry around, simply because it can charge my laptop and my cameras at the same time, which is really, really handy, especially as these Nikons tend to draw relatively low current anyway. They only draw about 10 watts when you're charging the battery. So I can have both of them plugged in at the same time, charging the batteries and using my laptop, and it'll all work. And you know what? You can't ask for more than that. So if you enjoyed the video, check out the charger links below. There's some affiliate links and some UGREEN links as well. UGREEN did provide this to me. I didn't pay for it, but this is still the review I would have made regardless, but just so you know. Equally, if you have questions about the device, pop them in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up so you don't miss future episodes. Thank you very much for watching. I hope I see you again next time. Goodbye.